This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, students. In the previous classes, I explained the different water surface profiles in open channels, and also I explained the determination of identification of water surface profiles in open channels. Now, please go through that different water surface profiles in open channels. We know that we have different types of channel bottom slopes. Check this diagram on the cell phone screen. So here we have the mild slope channel. In that mild slope channel, we know that we have three water surface profiles M1, M2, M3. The water surface profile M1 is a rising water surface profile. The water surface profile M2 is a falling water surface profile. The water surface profile M3 is a rising water surface profile. M1 is called backwater curve because it is rising water surface profile. M2 is called drawdown curve because it is falling water surface profile. M3 is also called the backwater curve because it is a rising water surface profile. And coming to the next type of channel, the steep slope channel. In the steep slope channel also, we have three water surface profiles, S1, S2, S3. S1 is backwater curve because it is rising water surface profile. S2 is drawdown curve because it is falling water surface profile. S3 is rising water surface profile, backwater curve. So in the open channels, rising water surface profile is called backwater curve. Falling water surface profile is called drawdown curve. Coming to the third channel bottom slope, critical channel bottom. In the critical channel bottom, we have two water surface profiles, C1 and C3. C1 is backwater curve, rising water surface profile. C3 is also backwater curve, rising water surface profile. Then in the horizontal slope channel, we have two water surface profiles, S1, H2 and H3. In the horizontal slope channel, we have two water surface profiles, H2 and H3. H2 is a backwater drawdown curve because it is a falling water surface profile. H3 is a rising water surface profile, backwater curve. So here H2 is drawdown curve and H3 is the backwater curve. Then the last one is adverse slope channel. In the adverse slope channel, we have two water surface profiles, A2 and A3. A2 is drawdown curve because it is falling water surface profile. A3 is backwater curve because it is rising water surface profile. We discussed all these water surface profiles in open channels. Now in the today's class, I am going to share with you some practical examples of water surface profiles in the open channels. Please everyone watch this diagram on the cell phone screens. In the diagram, I am giving the practical example of water surface profile in the open channel. So this is one practical example. In this practical example, we can observe the water surface profile M1 in the open channel. This is the M1 water surface profile in the open channel. So check the channel bottom slope. The channel bottom slope is mild slope. Dear students, please everyone focus on this diagram. You will get better knowledge on the water surface profiles in open channels. So here the channel bottom is mild slope. So the water surface profile is a M curve. Check this diagram. In the diagram, you know that in mild slope channel, the normal depth is greater than the critical depth. So here in this mild slope channel, the normal depth is more than the critical depth. In the diagram, this is the water surface in the open channel. Since this water surface is above the critical depth and normal depth. Since this water surface is above the critical depth and normal depth, this water surface is in zone 1. So this water surface in the open channel is in zone 1 of mild slope channel. So this is called as M1 curve. Check this M1 curve. You know the characteristics. On the upstream side, the M1 curve is asymptotic to normal depth line. So at greater upstream side, this M1 curve water surface profile is asymptotic to normal depth line, and on the downstream side, I discussed these characteristics. Even in the video lecture also, I explained this characteristic of M1 water surface profile in the open channel. So check that characteristics here. This M1 water surface profile is a rising water surface profile because M1 water surface profile is in zone 1. In zone 1, slope dy by dx is positive. So this M1 water surface profile is a rising water surface profile. On the upstream side, y is equal to yn. When y is equal to yn, dy by dx is equal to 0. When the slope dy by dx is 0, it is called as either horizontal. Check this carefully. So on the upstream side, M1 is either horizontal or it is asymptotic to normal depth line. This is approaching gradually at far away on the upstream side. This M1 water surface profile is approaching this normal depth line, that is called asymptotic. On the downstream side, you know that on the downstream side, y is infinity, that is large depth on the downstream side. At a large depth, y is infinity, dy by dx is S0. So here on this downstream side, S0 dy by dx is S0. That indicates on the downstream side, this M1 water surface profile is tangential to channel bottom. It is also called as, check this channel bottom please. Check this channel bottom. This channel bottom is asymptotic to horizontal. The channel bottom is approaching the horizontal. On the downstream side, for this M1 water surface profile, y, depth of flow y is infinity on the downstream side. When y is infinity, the slope dy by dx of this M1 water surface profile is S0. So when the slope is S0, this M1 water surface profile is parallel to channel bottom. Since channel bottom is asymptotic to horizontal, on the downstream side, M1 water surface profile is asymptotic to horizontal. So that is the characteristic of M1 water surface profile in the open channel. This is one practical example. If there is a weir in the open channel, sometimes we construct the weir in the open channel to store the water. So if there is a weir, then due to this weir, the water surface in the open channel increases. If that water surface is above the normal depth line and the channel bottom slope is mild slope, this is called the M1 water surface profile in the open channel. This is one practical example for this M1 water surface profile in the open channel. Similarly, I will give you some practical example of another water surface profile M2. Check this M2 water surface profile. Here also the channel bottom is mild slope. This is the channel bottom. If the channel bottom is mild slope, the water surface is called M curve. In the mild slope channel, the water surface is called M curve. Here this water surface in the mild slope channel is in between. Check this water surface. This water surface in the mild slope channel is in between the normal depth and critical depth. So this is zone 2. So the water surface is in zone 2. It is called M2 curve. The M2 curve, M2 water surface profile is a falling water surface profile because in the zone 2, slope dy by dx is negative. When the slope is negative, the water surface profile is a falling water surface profile. For this M2 water surface profile on the upstream side, depth of flow y is infinite, y is equal to yn. On the upstream side, for this M2 water surface profile, the depth of flow y is equal to yn. At y is equal to yn, slope dy by dx is 0. When the slope dy by dx is 0, the M2 water surface profile is either horizontal or it is asymptotic to normal depth line. That is the upstream side characteristic of M2 water surface profile. On the downstream side, the depth y is equal to yc. On the downstream side, the depth y is almost equal to yc. We know that when y is equal to yc, the slope dy by dx is infinity. That is the condition. When y is equal to yc, the slope of this water surface profile is infinity. When the slope is infinity, this water surface profile is perpendicular to the critical depth line. This water surface profile is perpendicular to critical depth line, but that is not possible. So it is approaching this critical depth line up to some distance in the perpendicular manner, then it becomes some other way. So here this M2 water surface profile is not entirely perpendicular to critical depth line. That's why we represented this M2 water surface profile near this critical depth line as dotted line. Because it is not totally perpendicular to critical depth line, it approaches near the critical depth line, then it changes the water surface profile. So this is the M2 water surface profile in the open channel, the behavior, the characteristics. It is a falling water surface profile. It is called drawdown curve. Whereas M1 is a rising water surface profile. It is called backwater curve. Check that under water surface profile M3. So this water surface profile M3 is formed when the water is released from this sluice gate. I hope you might have seen in the canals this provision of gates. When the water demand on the downstream side is less, we close this gate in the canal. If the water demand is there on the downstream side, we slowly raise the gate. This is called sluice gate. To regulate the water in the canal, we provide these gates in the canal. Most of the major canals are having these sluice gates to regulate the water in the canal. So here the channel bottom is a mild slope channel bottom, and this sluice gate is slightly open, not fully. It is slightly open. So from this bottom, from the bottom of the channel to this bottom of the gate, the water from the upstream side coming out. The water from this upstream side coming out in the downstream side, this is the water surface at that instant. So check this water surface coming from this sluice gate. This is the water surface. From this sluice gate, the water surface height gradually decreases up to certain point. This is called vena contract of water surface. From that, the water surface gradually increases. So from this sluice gate, the water surface is a rising water surface profile. Since it is in the mild slope channel, this is called M curve. This water surface is called M curve. Check this water surface in this diagram. This water surface here is below the normal depth line and also critical depth line. The water surface is below the normal depth line, critical depth line. So this water surface is in zone 3. So it is called M3 water surface profile. You know that in zone 3, the slope dy by dx is positive. So this M3 water surface profile is a rising water surface profile. Already I explained the characteristics of M3 water surface profile. On the upstream side here, on the upstream side, the depth y is equal to 0. Because here at vena contracta, this water surface is nearer to channel bottom. It is almost near to channel bottom. So here the depth of flow y is 0. When y is equal to 0, the slope dy by dx is infinity. When the slope is infinity, this M3 water surface profile is perpendicular to channel bottom. Actually, on this upstream side, M3 is perpendicular to channel bottom, but that is not possible. So here this M3 water surface profile is approaching the channel bottom almost perpendicular, but that is not entirely perpendicular. So in the previous classes we indicate the portion of M3 near this channel bottom as a dotted line, that is almost perpendicular to the channel bottom. Whereas on the upstream side, check this. On the upstream side, for this M3 water surface profile, the depth of flow y is equal to yc. This is the upstream side. This is the downstream side. On the downstream side of this M3 water surface profile, the depth of flow y is equal to yc. We know that when the depth of flow y is equal to yc, the slope dy by dx is infinity. When the slope is infinity on the downstream side, this M3 water surface profile is perpendicular to this critical depth line. So on the downstream side, M3, on the upstream side, M3 perpendicular to channel bottom. On the downstream side, M3 perpendicular to the critical depth line. It is a rising water surface profile. It is called backwater curve. So this is one practical example where we can observe this M3 water surface profile in the open channel. So here I explained some practical examples of M1 water surface profile, M2 water surface profile and M3 water surface profile. Like that, we have examples of the other water surface profiles like S1. Here the channel bottom is a steep channel bottom. So the water surface in that steep channel bottom is called S curve. Due to this wear, the water surface is rising from upstream to downstream. This water surface is in zone 1 above the critical depth and normal depth. So it is a S1 water surface profile. It is a rising water surface profile. So it is called the backwater curve. On the upstream side, this S1 depth of flow for this S1 water surface profile on the upstream side, y is equal to yc. When y is equal to yc, dy by dx is infinity. So this S1 water surface profile theoretically is perpendicular to the critical depth line because of the infinity slope, but that is not happened. So it is approaching this critical depth line in the perpendicular manner, but not actually perpendicular. So here on the upstream side, we indicate this S1 as a dotted line, indicating it is almost perpendicular to critical depth line. On the downstream side, the depth of flow is infinity. When y is equal to infinity, the slope is S0. So on the upstream side, the slope of this S1 water surface profile is equal to channel bottom slope. The channel bottom is asymptotic to horizontal. So on the downstream side, this S1 water surface profile is asymptotic to horizontal. This is one practical example of the S1 water surface profile in the open channel. This is the example for S2 water surface profile in the open channel. So here this water surface profile is in the steep slope channel. So this water surface profile is called S curve. Here this water surface profile is in zone 2, in between the critical depth and normal depth. This is the S2 water surface profile. It is a falling water surface drawdown curve. Then the S3 water surface profile. Here this is the S3 water surface profile in that open channel. So from this gate, if the water is released and if the channel bottom slope is steep, then this water surface profile is a S3 water surface profile in the open channel. Then the critical slope, the horizontal slope channel. We know that in the horizontal slope channel, we have two water surface profiles, H2 and H3. Check them carefully, students. The water is released from this sluice gate. By opening the sluice gate, the water is released in the downstream side. The channel bottom is horizontal. So from this gate, first the water released, the water is gradually rising. Since this channel bottom is horizontal, we call this water surface as H curve. Then from this sluice gate up to this portion, this water surface is in zone 3. So it is called H3 water surface profile. After that, the water surface profile rises. It enters into second zone. So in the second zone, slope is negative. So this water surface profile H2 curve in the Zone 2 is a falling water surface profile. So this is the water surface profiles in horizontal slope channel. Then the adverse slope channel. So this is the condition of adverse slope channel. The channel bottom is rising in the direction of flow. Adverse slope channel. This is the adverse slope channel water surface profile A curve. Here this A curve water surface profile above the critical depth line. So it is A2 water surface profile. This is the nature of the water surface profile A2, falling water surface profile. It is a drawdown curve. So like that we can observe different water surface profiles. This is the A3 water surface profile in the adverse slope channel. So the water surface profile is a rising water surface profile. It is a backwater curve. Here you can observe that characteristics of A3 water surface profile in the adverse slope channel. So these are some of the practical examples to understand the different types of water surface profiles in open channels. So with this, the concept of water surface profiles in open channels is completed. Then in the unit 2, the next concept is control sections in the open channels. Just now we completed the different water surface profiles in open channels. Then the next one is the control sections in open channels. This is also an important concept because the upcoming concepts in unit 2 are depending on these control sections in open channels. What is meant by the control section in the open channel? Control section means, please listen this everyone. In open channels, the control section means when water is flowing in the open channel, whatever the channel bottom slope, whatever the water surface profile. So irrespective of that, when water is flowing in the open channel at one section in that open channel at particular location, there is a location in that open channel. When water is flowing in the open channel, there is a one section in the open channel. At that section, there is a established relationship. There is a definite relationship between the depth of water flow in the open channel and the discharge of water flow in the open channel. So please listen everyone. When water is flowing in the open channel, whatever the water surface, whatever the channel bottom, when water is flowing in the open channel, at some sections in that open channel, not throughout the channel, at some sections in that open channel, there is a relationship between the depth of water flow and discharge of water flow in the open channel. Those sections are called control sections. So that is the meaning of control section in the open channel. The section in the open channel, like section 1, section 2 we consider. Similarly, in open channel, at some particular location, at some locations, we have the section. At one particular location, there is a relationship between the depth of water flow in the open channel and the discharge in the open channel. That location is called the control section in the open channel. So for your better understanding, I am giving one example. In fluid mechanics, you might have studied rectangular weir. In the fluid mechanics, we studied that rectangular weir. The rectangular weir is constructed in the open channel. When the water in the channel is flowing over that rectangular weir, so please listen everyone, the rectangular weir is constructed in the open channel, in the rivers or in the major canals. When the rectangular weir is constructed in the open channel, when water is flowing over that rectangular weir, if h is the depth of water flow over that rectangular weir, by measuring that depth h over the weir, we can calculate the discharge q in the channel. I hope you studied this rectangular weir discharge formula. Can anybody give that formula of discharge q in the rectangular weir? Can anybody know that formula of discharge Q in the rectangular weir? If anybody knows, please give me the response. What is the discharge of water flow equation over the rectangular weir?
2/3 into CD into L root of 2G H power 3/2.
Into
H power 3/2.
Very good, thank you. So that is the equation for discharge Q over the rectangular weir. So please listen everyone, the rectangular weir is constructed in the open channel. The purpose of that rectangular weir is to measure the discharge of water flow in the channel. So in that rectangular weir, the discharge Q is equal to 2/3 constant CD constant L constant root 2Z constant into H power 3/2. What is that H in that equation? H is the depth of water over the rectangular weir. So in that rectangular weir, there is a relation between the depth of flow H and the discharge Q. That is called control section. That is the meaning of control section. If there is a relationship between the depth of water flow and the discharge Q, we call that section as control section. In open channels, we have that control sections. I will explain later where these control sections exist. For your understanding purpose, I consider that rectangular weir. In open channels, the rectangular weirs, the spillways, the sluice gates, all are the control sections. By knowing the depth of water flow over the weirs, over the spillways, over the sluice gates, we can find out the discharge Q at that particular location. So in the open channels, the examples of control sections is the weir is an example of control section. The spillway is an example of control section. By knowing the depth of flow over the spillway, you can calculate the discharge Q from that spillway, and also sluice gates. In all these examples, there is a relationship between the depth of flow and the discharge. So we consider them as the control sections in open channels. And in the open channels, the critical depth location. We know in open channels, we have the depth called critical depth YC. It exists at one particular location in the open channel. That location of critical depth in the open channel is also an example of control section. Why that critical depth is control section? Because by knowing that critical depth YC, you know that critical depth YC is equal to small q square by z whole power 1/3. By knowing that critical depth YC, I can calculate that small q. Small q is the discharge per unit width. So YC is equal to q square by z, small q square by z whole power 1/3. By knowing that critical depth YC, I can calculate the discharge small q. Small q is the discharge per unit width. By knowing the width B of the channel, I can calculate the discharge capital Q. Discharge capital Q is equal to small q into width B. So the critical depth is also a control section, because by knowing the critical depth, we can calculate the discharge of flow in the channel. And also one more importance is that critical depth. I explained in the unit 1. If the depth of flow in the channel is less than the critical depth, the flow is called supercritical flow. If the depth of flow in the channel is greater than critical depth, it is called subcritical flow. So by knowing that critical depth in the open channel, we can find out the nature of water flow in the channel, whether the flow is subcritical flow or supercritical flow, where that flow is changing from supercritical to subcritical or subcritical to supercritical, like that. By knowing that critical depth in the channel, we can find out the type of flow in the channel. Not only the discharge, we can also find out the type of flow in the channel. So in open channels, the critical depth is also considered as the control sections. So please listen everyone, in open channels, at certain sections like weirs, spillways, sluice gates, and also critical depth, at certain sections, there is a relationship between the depth of flow and the discharge Q. By knowing the depth of flow, we can calculate the discharge at that sections. Those sections are called the control sections in open channels. Now, in the gradually varied flow, definitely we have one control section. Without control section, the gradually varied flow does not exist in open channel. Whenever the water flow in the open channel is gradually varied flow, definitely we have minimum one control section in that gradually varied flow. Now I am going to show you the different control sections in open channels. So check this first diagram, please. Here this is the M1 water surface profile. It is passing over the weir. By knowing this depth of flow at this weir, this is H. By knowing this depth of flow over the weir, I can calculate the discharge of water flow over the weir. If this weir is a rectangular weir, if H is the depth of flow at this point, then the discharge Q is equal to 2/3 CDL root 2Z H power 3 by 2. H is the depth of water flow at this location. So here at this weir, between the depth H and the discharge Q, we have the relationship, that is Q is equal to 2/3 CDL root 2Z H power 3 by 2. So this point is called, or this section is called the control section in this M1 water surface profile, because at this section between the depth H and the discharge Q, we have the relationship. So this is called the control section. Check this M1 water surface profile. It is a rising water surface profile. Please listen this carefully. The M1 water surface profile is a rising water surface profile. It is called backwater curve. So if the water surface profile is a backwater curve, the control section is on the downstream side. This control section is on the downstream side, not on the upstream side. So in the backwater curve, the control section on the water surface is on the downstream side. Then coming to this sluice gate, you know that when water is released in this sluice gate, this is the water surface profile M3. Because the channel bottom is critical, this is the water surface profile M3. In this water surface profile M3, it is a rising water surface profile. Near this sluice gate, the depth of flow here becomes minimum. By knowing this depth of flow here, I can calculate the discharge coming from this bottom of the sluice gate. We have the equation to find out the discharge of flow coming from this bottom of the sluice gate by knowing the depth of flow at vena contracta. So we consider this location as the control section in this water surface profile. So like this, in this water surface profiles, these are all gradually varied flows. This is a gradually varied flow, M1 water surface profile. M3 is also gradually varied flow. So in those water surface profiles, at one particular section, there is a relation between the depth of water flow and the discharge Q. We call that as the control section in the open channel. So like that, we have some more examples of control sections. This is a horizontal channel bed. It is a wide rectangular channel, and at this location, this is the depth of flow. By knowing this depth of flow, I can calculate the discharge of water flow in this open channel. So like that, in the open channels, we have certain sections or the locations. At that location, by knowing the depth of flow, we can find out the discharge Q flowing in that open channel, and this is S3 curve, and this is the control section in that S3 curve, and for this S1 curve, this is the control section. So like that, in the open channel flows, we have this concept of control sections. Now check this diagram, please, everyone. Check this diagram on the cell phone screens. Here, the channel is a natural channel, river. I am going to measure the discharge of water flow in that river. Let's consider this is the control section in the river. Say this particular location is the control section in the river. By measuring the depth of flow at that control section, this is the depth of flow y. I can take this channel bottom almost rectangle, the channel bottom almost rectangle. So by knowing this depth of water flow in the river, I can calculate this wetted area. Wetted area is equal to discharge, wetted area is equal to channel width b into depth of flow y, because it is almost rectangle. Since it is almost rectangle, by measuring this depth of water flow, I can calculate the wetted area. V is equal to A is equal to bottom width B into depth of flow Y. By using current meters or by using pitot tubes, I can calculate the velocity of water flow. This is the mean velocity. Measure the velocity at 0.2y from the top and also at 0.8y from the top. Find out the average, that is called mean water velocity in the open channel. So by knowing this mean velocity and this wetted area, I can calculate the discharge in this open channel river. The discharge Q is equal to area into velocity. A is the wetted area, that is the depth of flow into width. Now most of you will get doubt how to measure this depth of flow in the rivers. For that, at control sections, we provide this type of scales. So please check this diagram on the cell phones. This is the vertical scale installed at the location of control section. This is the control section in this open channel. This is a river or a stream. So by using this scale, I can measure the depth of flow. By knowing this depth of flow and the bottom width, by knowing this depth of flow and bottom width, I can calculate the wetted area A, bottom width into depth of flow. By using current meters or pitot tubes, I can find out this water velocity. By knowing the velocity and area, I can calculate this discharge of flow in the open channel. So this is the importance of critical control sections in open channels. So by measuring the depth of water flow at control sections, we can find out the discharge of flow in the open channel. That is the importance of the control sections in open channels. Then I already explained these control sections in different channel bottoms. Then after these control sections in unit 2, the next concept is integration of dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. Please check this, everyone. Integration of dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. Dear students, up to this control sections, if anybody is having doubts, please discuss with me. If anybody is having doubts up to this control sections in unit 2, please ask me.
Sir,
Tell me. 106.
కంట్రోల్ అంటే డిశ్చార్జ్ ని డెప్త్ ని మెజర్ చేసే ఆ సెక్షన్ కంట్రోల్ సెక్షన్ అంటారు సార్.
Location అండి. By knowing the discharge at that location, by knowing the depth of flow at that location, we can measure the discharge. By knowing the depth of flow at that section, at control section, we can measure the discharge in the open channel. That particular section is called control section in the open channel. The critical depth is also a control section. the weir is a control section, and in the M1 curve at weir we have control section. Like M2 curve at one particular location we have control section. So by measuring the depth of flow at control sections, we can calculate the discharge Q in the open channel. That is the concept of control sections in open channels. Now coming to this integration of dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. Dear students, we discussed in unit 2 the dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. What is the dynamic equation of gradually varied flow? dy by dx is equal to S0 minus Sf divided by 1 minus q square t by Ga cube. That is the dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. Now, what is this integration of dynamic equation of gradually varied flow? Where this integration of dynamic equation is useful. Now coming to this diagram, please everyone check this diagram. I discussed with you the water surface profiles in the open channels. For example, take the M1 water surface profile in the open channel. This is the M1 water surface profile. It is a rising water surface profile. The M1 water surface profile is a rising water surface profile. You know that this M1 water surface profile is also called backwater curve. If there is a weir in the open channel, on the upstream side of the weir, the water surface in the open channel rises. So this is the rising water surface profile in the open channel. It is also called backwater curve. I hope at least some of you will get the doubt. What is this length of M1 water surface profile from this control section up to this point on the upstream side? What is this length of M1 water surface profile in the open channel? Can anybody give the answer for that? I am asking about the length of this backwater curve M1. It is a rising water surface profile. So we are calling this M1 as a backwater curve. From this weir, almost from this weir up to this distance, it is asymptotic to normal depth line up to this point on the upstream side. What is this length of the backwater curve M1? Definitely at least some of students in the class will get the doubt. So a number of times sir explained M1 water surface profile, M2 water surface profile, M3 water surface profile, and also some other. What should be the length of that M1 water surface profile or S1 water surface profile or H2? What is the length of those water surface profiles? That is very, very important, especially in dams. When the water is stored in the dams during the flood seasons, when the river gets the flood, the water is stored in the dam. When water is stored in the dam, from this backside of the dam, the water level in the river increases. When the dam stores the river water, the water level in the river increases. This increase of water moving backwards, the increase of water surface in the river moving backwards, it reaches large distances on this upstream side. We must know this length carefully. Because of this backwater curve, some villages, some area on the backside subjected to submergence. It is submerged because of this backwater curve. I hope you remember, due to this Polavaram dam, when water is stored in the Polavaram dam, this is the water surface profile in the river Godavari. This water surface profile is going up to Bhadrachalam. That much distance this water surface is moving in the river. So we must know what is this length of the water surface profile. Not only M1, it is M2, M3, S1, S2, S3, C1, C3, H2, H3, A2, A3. Whatever that water surface profile may be. What is the length of that water surface profile in the open channel? So to measure the length of that water surface profile, we are going for the integration of the dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. That is the main purpose for integration of the dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. So by conducting that integration of the dynamic equation of gradually varied flow, we can find out the length of the water surface profiles. So the purpose of this integration of dynamic equation of gradually varied flow is to determine the length of the water surface profiles in the gradually varied flow. This water surface profile may be of any type. It may be M curves, S curves, C curves, H curves, or A curves. So to determine the length or the distance of either the backwater surface profile or the drawdown water surface profile, whatever it may be. So when the water surface profile is either the backwater surface profile means the slope increases positive. If the water surface increases in the downward direction, it is called backwater curve. Slope is positive. Drawdown curve means if the water surface is a falling water surface, slope is negative. It is called drawdown curve. So to find out either the length of backwater curve or the length of drawdown curve, we must do this integration of the dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. That is the main purpose of this integration of dynamic equation of gradually varied flow, to determine the length of either the backwater curve water surface profile or the drawdown curve water surface profile in the open channels. Now we have three different methods for the integration of dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. The first method is called the single step method or the step method of integration. This is the first method in this integration of dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. Just now I explained the purpose to find out the length of either the backwater curve or the drawdown curve. I will give you a small example. Most of you in the childhoods, when you are children's, normally we pour water in the canals. If there is a canal in the side of our house, most of the children will play this game. So during the holidays, they play this game. If there is a small canal nearer to house, just side on the in front of house, if there is a small canal, we pour soil in that canal. Just watch this. If you are not playing this, at least play this today or tomorrow. Pour soil in the canal, at least sand in the canal. When you place the sand in the canal, the water flow in the canal obstructed. Definitely it is obstructed when you pour the soil in the canal, since it is a small canal in front of our house. If you pour this soil on the canal, the water flow in the canal obstructed, then check that upstream side of that soil. It is a small soil dam. So by placing the soil in the canal, we construct a soil dam, small soil dam. Check the water surface on the upstream side of that soil dam. The water surface is a rising water surface. So from the upstream to downstream, the water surface gradually rises in the canal. That is called the backwater curve. First of all, we should know what is the length of the backwater curve. This is a small example. The small water surface profile in the canal, like that in the dams. We have huge water surface profiles in the dams. When the dam is storing the river water, there is a long length water surface profile created in the dam. We must know that length of the water surface profile in the dam to know how much area is going to be submerged on the upstream side. So in order to find out that length of the water surface profiles in the dams or in the canals, we are using this integration of the dynamic equation of gradually varied flow. For that integration of dynamic equation of gradually varied flow, normally we adopted three procedures. The first one is single step method or the step method of integration. The second one is the graphical integration method. The third one is the direct integration method. So like that we have three methods for that integration of the dynamic equation of gradually varied flow, the single step method, or it is also called the step method of integration. The second one is the graphical method of integration. The third one is the direct method of integration. Okay, students, with this, I am going to stop the today's class. Next class, I will explain what is this single step method of integration. In our syllabus, we have only this first method of the integration of dynamic equation, the single step method of integration or the step method of integration. The remaining two are not there in the syllabus. So next class I will explain what is this single method of integration of dynamic equation of gradually varied flow to determine the length of water surface profile in the open channels. So if anybody is having doubts up to this concept in unit 2, please discuss with me. Otherwise, you leave the class and join the next class. If you have any doubts, students, please discuss with me.